All right, everybody. Welcome to the Weight Cut Podcast. We're going to break down UFC 281. Broth is in the waiting room. We're about to accept him right now to kick this thing off. Broth, you're back.
Hey, what's going on?
Good to see you, man. Hey, thank you, bro. We appreciate your time. Super excited that you're on here. We're here to break down UFC 281. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I was just watching the fight night. Watched Wolverine win a fight, and am I just joining y'all to watch for the weight cut? UFC 281 is on the horizon. It's almost fight weekend, and super excited about this one. It's going to be a really good card, I think.
No doubt this card should deliver for sure. With that being said, Anthony, let's begin by breaking down our favorite fights on this epic card. So let's start with the opening matchup in the main card here. We have Claudio Puelles, Peru's own, taking on Dan, the Hangman Hooker. Anthony, um, what are your thoughts about this one?
Well, it's in a very important fight for Claudio. It's his first ranked fight. We all know how that is in a very promising heavy lightweight division. This is his ticket in, to number 12. It's a really important fight for Dan because he's been on a skid, and Claudio's going like 4 or 5 in a row. A lot of signature knee bars. I mean, it's an interesting fight for sure. For both sides, a lot on the line for both sides. Uh, I don't really know what to expect because not a lot. We don't know a lot about Claudio's skills, but he definitely is a prospect. So, and then we know Dan Hooker, the Hangman. I mean, there's a reason he's called the Hangman. So, initial thoughts. I think it's gonna be a great fight. I think it's gonna be one of those interesting fights, the openers to start off the card, and it's just gonna be it's a weird one because you got a grappler versus striker. So you know how those go. One's training against the defense for the other guy, and the other guy's training to strike. Who's going to come in or ready to go? Gosh, who knows? But it's gonna be a very good fight, I think.
Sweet man. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Look, at 32 years old, Dan the Hangman Hooker is a full-grown man. He has been in there and he's fought in some of the best lightweights in this era. Um, and not only has he fought him, he's hung in there. I mean, this guy went to war with Dustin
Yeah, yeah,
Poirier. He went to war with Dustin Poirier. So, also had a great fight with Paul Felder. A couple losses, to Islam, bad loss to Islam, bad loss to Michael Chandler. But hey, I mean, come on. Again, some of the best lightweights, right? But
yeah, yeah,
this is a huge test for Claudio. I agree with you there. And we know Claudio, he's 26, he's won five in a row.
yeah.
And
Okay, five.
he's looked very exciting in the octagon. Obviously, he got the knee bar finish um recently in April, I believe,
Yeah.
over the legend Clay Guida, which was huge, and it kind of earned him this fight. So he's a real prospect to watch out for. But again, 155, very, very deep division.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your prediction on this one?
Like I said, it's such a hard one to say. I mean, there's not. We haven't really seen Claudio fight an elite striker like this. At least not like this, at least. Not to my knowledge, I guess, too. Because Taylor he trained at City Kickboxing. He trains with Israel Adesanya. He's Israel Adesanya's sparring partner, one of the spar partners. Can Claudio hang in there? Because the fight does start on the feet. It doesn't start on the ground. It is a grappling match. I mean, we're gonna see how good Claudio's hands are. And I think if they're somewhat there, he has a huge advantage on the ground. We've seen Dan Hooker fight other grapplers and wrestlers and not do very well. He does well when he's in the pocket and he's throwing down other people. Yes, he's been checked, he's been knocked out. I mean, some of the best. I mean, even with Dustin Poirier, I mean, they were in the pocket and they were fighting all 5 rounds, brutal. And so he has a chin. He's been there. So it's very interesting to see how Claudio handles all that because the fight does start in the feet. But I think if he gets it to the ground, I think it's Claudio's fight to win. It's just how much in the training camp has he emphasized wrestling and grappling? on that submission. He's a submission artist. I mean, signature knee bar, most of the UFC history. I mean, it's even crazy how he gets it. I mean, just if you even see videos, the highlights of it, it's like, whoa. The dude just did like a hurricane twister move, and he's got his knee, and the guy just taps instantly. Like, it's crazy. Like, Claudio has a lot of grappling skills. It's really cool to see.
Yeah.
As a Peruvian myself, it's cool to see this new guy, the Prince of Peru, Claudio, make his way up the ranks. But I just see Claudio winning by submission. I would say a middle second round, but I do think that he's going to get checked with a hook or something, and he's going to be tested. He's going to be in deep waters, I think, on Saturday. So I got Claudio winning by submission in a second.
Right on, man. Exactly. Major test for Claudio. Um, we know the kid's good. We know the kid has talent. And he's stepping in there with one of the toughest matchups at 155, just based
Mm-hmm.
on his track
Mm-hmm.
record. So going to be definitely quite the challenge. Big opponent, but in a big spot. A lot to gain for Claudio here. If Claudio is able to
Yep.
secure the victory, again, he will find himself inside the top 15 and next in line for another big fight. And for Dan, loss here is going to be very tough for him in his career trajectory. He is 1-4 in his last 5 fights. Again, he fought the
Mm-hmm.
best, but tough situation to be in.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Claudio as well. I'm going to say Claudio gets it done by submission in round number 3. Um, like you said, Claudio, his path to victory is obviously to get this fight on the ground at all costs. I
Yeah.
believe we don't know how
Mm-hmm.
good Claudio's striking is. We have not seen um him fight a guy like Dan Hooker, from City
Yeah.
Kickboxing.
Exactly.
So this will be a major test of his stand up. And if he's able to dictate the fight and take it to the ground, I see his path,
Mm-hmm.
that being his path to victory. So I'm
And the
agree with
fact
you
that
on.
he switched too, the fact that he switched too, like I mean, that's a lot to give of another fighter who's a striker to switch to southpaw and then switch to regular and then back to southpaw. That's a lot to take in a 15-minute fight too.
Yeah.
And he's got the reach. Obviously, we see the reach is 3 inches, which is kind of a lot. 54% strike accuracy, which is good for Dan Hooker.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't know this. Uh, I mean, when Claudio actually he lands pretty consistently apparently 66%. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot for now. I don't know if that's just technically on the feet or around, but that's kind of a lot. So if Claudio can just tag him and touch him and stuff, that's really good. And then the takedown average, I mean, 2.7, man. That's just almost three averaging 3 takedowns a fight. I mean, that's a clear cut right there.
Yeah. I mean, it's
But
pretty good.
the accuracy isn't there though. But I'm seeing right here. It's being 38%, not very accurate uh, compared to the other like submission artists who were very accurate once they get to the ground. So that's also something to put into play. But I think Claudio's still going to win. So we agree with each other on that.
Well, he's on a run and 5 in a row. Let's see if
Yeah,
he
he's
can
going
make
to
it.
run.
Let's see if he can make it 6 in a row this Saturday at Madison Square Garden. Big spot for him. Hopefully, he can. The pressure won't be too much for him. In on a main card in New York City, a lot on the line there. So we will continue to go up, and we're going to stop for our next matchup that we want to talk about. We want to touch on this huge fight at lightweight. Um, it's no secret that we love lightweight and we love these
Yeah,
matchups. So this one is a huge banger fight. You got Dustin Poirier, always in a fun fight against fan favorite Iron Michael Chandler. What are your thoughts on this one?
man, it's a fun fight. I mean, it's a really fun fight. You got two entertainers out there ready to basically die in the octagon to win, and both electrifying. I mean, you can make this a main event on a card. It's that big, that's why it's the featured bout of UFC 281. Uh, Dustin kind of is in a weird spot, already challenged for the fight title twice, came up short twice, but still is on the pound for pound list. He's a very good fighter. So he's kind of up. He didn't have to take this fight, but it's such an interesting fight for him because it's like he still wants to fight the best of the best, and so it shows a lot of heart on Dustin. because Michael Chandler's no easy bout. I mean, and I love to see this kind of matchups in the UFC because it just shows like this is still they're hungry. They want to still fight the best of the best. They're not asking for a smaller like division fight. They're asking for the best of the best. Same for Michael Chandler. I mean, he was only one fight. He almost won the title. Both these guys could have been champions. It wasn't for Charles or Khabib. I mean, those which probably one of number one and two best flyweights of ever. So without them, these guys could have been champions in the UFC. So, and it's one of those fights that fans love to have, love to see. You just don't know what's going to happen. Is it going to all out war? And it's only 3 rounds, so no conservative energy. I think from the get go, we saw Gaethje versus Chandler 3 rounds. There was no conservative energy from when that moment that bell rung. It was war.
Right.
It's a cool fight. It's a cool fight. I mean, initially, a very important fight for both of them too. More Michael Chandler than Dustin because Michael still has a chance at that belt still. Dustin, I mean, yes, he has a chance still at the belt, but it's not as likely as it is for Michael Chandler. I could see Dustin going to 170 after this fighting Colby Covington, but that's besides the point. I'm just saying, but it's a lot. There's a lot riding for this fight for Michael than it is Dustin. Dustin's here to prove that he's still got it. But what's your initial thoughts on this fight?
My initial thought on this fight is that if I had to bet, this could be the fight of the night award. These two guys are probably going to put on the best fight on this entire card.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um, you know, just judging how Michael Chandler's fights have been in the UFC, he's very explosive, very electrifying. He really goes in there to just throw down with whoever he's going up against, crazy knockout. Already has 2 crazy knockouts in the UFC out of 4 fights. Almost finished Charles Oliveira. Went the distance with
mm-hmm.
Justin Gaethje. Um, I think that's exactly what we can expect from Michael Chandler is an all-out war. So, in my opinion, it's going to be who lands that punch. Who's able to land that shot that's going to put the other one out if it does happen. You
Yeah,
know, if I think you know, Chandler has a chance. He can put him away in the first round, maybe the early in the second round. But the longer the fight lasts, I think the cardio does come into play. Where we could see Dustin being the more technical boxer, maybe running
yeah,
away with this fight. Now, if Chandler would use his wrestling, we did see him get that takedown on Tony Ferguson when he was a little bit in trouble on the feet in the first round in his last fight.
yeah.
If we could see Chandler initiate a wrestling heavy approach, then I could definitely see him getting a decision victory over Dustin. But again, just judging by Chandler's fights, that's not the case. He doesn't really use his
No,
wrestling much. He really
no.
just goes there to throw down.
Yeah, he's a warrior, dude. He doesn't want to get to the ground, especially because he knows Dustin's a striker. He wants to throw down with another striker,
He's so
which
exciting.
could hurt him. Obviously the fight. He went in there and just he could have wrestled Gaethje, but he didn't. And he tried. He definitely tried when he got hurt and stuff, but he didn't use it as a offensive. He used it more of a defensive, move.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna see how he mixes it in. I mean, it's a very important fight for him, like you said, and
Yeah.
man, it's such a good fight. It's such an entertaining fight.
All right. Well, who you got?
Ah man, uh, it's okay. Let's just go with the stats, man. Before okay, these guys have basically like as I'm looking at, they have similar stats in almost everything. The reach is basically the same. Height basically the same. Obviously, the weight's the same. They're both actually bigger guys. I mean, even though they're both 5'8", they're definitely a little heavier guys for lightweight, and not really the smaller lightweights when it comes to weight wise. Strikes they're pretty even at 5. Strike accuracy are even at 50, almost 50%. Takedown edge is
I,
that basically the same. I mean, it's one of those things, bro. It's where it's so equal. It's just I think that it's really come down to who is on their A game that night. Who's coming in? Who has a less of a weight cut issues? Shout out the Weight Cut podcast while we're doing this. it's one of those things that it can go either way, and I want to give it to, and this is I want to give it to for the like the script, to give it to Michael Chandler, just by like a crazy front kick
Viral,
to the face, go viral again. But
viral
you
knockout.
can't hate on you can't hate on Dustin now. You can't hate on him. So it's like I want to go Michael Chandler, but I do like Dustin too. Like it can go either way. I see Dustin knocking him out in the third.
Ooh, in the third round. There we go.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. Michael Chandler. Like my heart says Michael Chandler, but when I look at the statistics and how good how well Michael Chandler did struggle against Justin Gaethje, and we can say Dustin is probably the better striker, especially accuracy wise, better boxer than Justin Gaethje. We've
Hmm.
seen that Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier won by knockout uh, in like the fourth, fifth, I can't remember. Uh, so we see him versus Justin, which is a good indication of with Michael versus Justin, where Michael was having a hard time. Michael was having a hard time versus Justin striking, very hard time. But then when Michael Chandler landed, you can see that it hurt more. And so it's one of those things where we've seen both of them fight one similar fighter, and it probably be the most similar fight this fight too. And if you look at those two fights individually, you would think Dustin's going to be the better fighter. So that's why I'm picking Dustin.
Right on, right on.
But
Yeah.
a war, like a third round,
Fight of
both
the night.
bloody, both fight of the night, like very entertaining, And I think Michael Chandler's just so entertaining, wants to be in that pocket. He's gonna want to take him out, and he's just gonna get caught. Joel, I just think that's what's gonna happen, and I like to see it. I mean, it's only 7 days away. This time next weekend, around this time next weekend, the Claudio is going to fight, open the card, and it's going to be go time from that moment.
For sure. Yeah. You
What about
know,
you? Who do you got?
well, similar to you, my heart wants Michael Chandler to win. I love
Right.
Michael
Yeah.
Chandler.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite fighters. Um, and he does have that knockout power. He can put
Mm-hmm.
you away
Mm-hmm.
in that first round, and there's very good chance that he could land that
Oh
punch.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
He could put Dustin away. So, the smart money probably would be to choose Poirier, for by decision or by late finish. But I'm gonna go with my heart here, and I'm gonna say Michael Chandler gets it done early in the second round by knockout. I'm gonna go Chandler by knockout early in the
Mm-hmm.
second round. But this fight is definitely gonna be exciting and one to remember for sure. I
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too. I mean, and I can see what you're saying too. It isn't like it's not clear because Dustin likes being in that pocket, and like you said, Michael Chandler has that knockout power. Uh, hey, if he lands, Joe, his
If he
ability to
lands,
knock his lights out.
if he lands, Joe. All right, moving on from that, you got Poirier. I'm taking Chandler. Let's go to the women's strawweight title fight. A very exciting fighter in the women's division. She's a rock star, and I'm not talking about the champion here. I'm actually talking about the former champion and the challenger in this matchup. But
Mm-hmm.
nonetheless, we're going to give Carla Esparza her credit as well. She is the champion coming into this fight. So we
Two
have
times.
two-time women's strawweight champion veteran. I think she was the first ever strawweight champion. Carla Esparza
Okay.
versus Zhang Wei Li. Who you got?
Ah, man, it's such a weird fight, especially of Carla's last performance. There's nothing really to show there. Thug Rose just really didn't show up that fight. Uh, so we really don't know what to expect from Carla. I mean, if that fight went, if I think if Doug Rose did a little more in that fight, we can understand Carla Esparza's ability more because Zhang Wing Lee is very similar to Thug Rose, very strike heavy, heavy hands. Carla's more the wrestler, so it's just hard to say because I've only watched one fight of Carla Esparza, and that was versus Thug Rose, and very just not really a fight. They were just shadow boxing, I guess. because
Mm,
Doug was so scary to take down. But that's, I mean, that's also the thing is, I mean, Carla must be a really good wrestler, grappler, because Doug Rose wanted no part of it. I do think Zhang Wing Li is probably the stronger of the two. So if it does get to the ground, uh, I do like things Zhang's ability to get out because of the strength. So I mean, I'm just gonna go Zhang Wali by knockout, like second round.
oh,
I think she's gonna just find. I don't think she's gonna be scared of the takedown like Doug. I think she probably learned from Doug, uh, not to be scared of a takedown because it hinders her ability to actually perform the way she wants to perform as our style. And I think she's probably put a lot of training into that. And she's just gonna not be scared to move forward against Carla, and Carla's gonna get hit. And then when she hits hard. I mean, you saw her versus Joanna. I mean, her whole face was formed after how those punches he took from Zhang. So that's who I got. I got Zhang in the second. I got Zhang in the second and knockout for sure. That's what I got.
yeah. Did you see the video of Zhang Weili lifting up Francis Ngannou?
No, is that actually a video of that?
Yeah, she just this
Yeah,
week it was
she's
on social media. She picked up Francis Ngannou. I mean, dude, Francis weighs like 280 pounds at least.
yeah, she's 116. Probably walks around like 130 maybe.
Yeah, she
And
had to
she
be like 135 pounds,
yeah.
and she just lifted up Francis like it was crazy. Like
Yeah.
she's
No, yeah,
crazy strong.
there was no doubt the strength went to her for sure.
But with that being said, man, I feel like everybody's just expecting Zhang to run away with this fight, and I get it. Zhang has had some nasty KOs, like she had the KO over Jessica Andrade. She had the knockout of Joanna Jędrzejczyk, like you were saying. But I'm gonna say this: if Carla can weather that storm, if because I know Zhang's gonna probably come out very, very fast. If Carla can get through that first round and a half, maybe 2 rounds, and if she can weather that storm, I think Carla might have a chance to win this fight, to get that
Yeah.
takedown and potentially submit Zhang Wei Li. I think Zhang might be a little crazy in her approach in this fight, looking for that finish where she will leave some openings for Carla to potentially get a takedown, get her to the ground, and submit her, because we don't really know how good Zhang Wei Li's ground game is, and we know that Carla can finish the fight there. So I think
Yeah.
if the longer the fight goes, we could see Carla get the finish by submission.
Mhm.
So that's just my thought on the fight. But with that being said, I'm gonna agree with you. I am gonna go with Zhang. I'm gonna say Zhang gets it done by knockout. Probably in the second round. I know that's boring because you said the same thing, but I'm gonna agree with you there. Jean gets it done in the second round. But I think Carla has a chance the later the fight goes.
Yeah. And I think too, like Carla has a lot to prove too. You know, I think she kind of, and this is just me just thinking for myself, in my opinion or whatnot. She has a lot to prove too, because the last fight was kind of a boring fight, you know. Doug didn't come out like she was supposed to come out. So there's a lot on Carla here because she's going to fight another very aggressive striker who I think, like I said earlier, is not going to come in there scared about takedown. So there's going to be a lot to prove because we'll see if her hands are there because like every fight starts on the feet. You know, it doesn't start on the ground. Like she'd have to find a way to get a takedown. You know, mix it all in together. And if she does that, I mean, I can see her winning too.
No doubt,
But I
man.
got Jang.
All right.
I got Jang for sure.
We're
Jang.
both going with Zhang Wei Li via knockout second round. That's the prediction. You heard it here, everybody. Okay, moving on to the biggest fight on this card between the two men that this card was built around. You have Israel, the last stylebender, Adesanya taking on Alex Poatan Pereira in a massive 185-pound main event matchup. What are your thoughts?
Wow. I mean, what not to talk about here? I mean, going back 6 years ago when they were in glory kickboxing and Alex, two victories over him already. I mean, and yes, it's an MMA fight, but when that fight when that outlet gets closed, it's going to be another kickboxing fight. I mean, these guys aren't really known to grapple, aren't really known to wrestle. It's going to be another kickboxing match basically. And Alex definitely evolved. I mean, Israel has definitely evolved since then. I mean, there's a lot of things that he's done better now since that fight. I just watched it last night. Uh, Israel was good then. You know, Israel had Alex on skates, like you said. If you watch the fight, he was piecing up Alex Pereira in that fight. I would say initially I give the power to Alex, but I do give Israel Adesanya the accuracy because that dude is very accurate with his punches. Alex is very accurate, as you see, 68%. I mean when he lands, you know. But I think he is the more powerful striker between the two, and Israel has the stamina on him. Israel has probably I can't even say he has the experience. I mean, I guess he has the MMA experience on him. Uh, but other than that, I mean, these guys are like they have a lot of history, a lot of rich history too. I mean, Alex has been defeated before. You know, he hasn't like he's lost already. Not only in MMA, but in kickboxing, he has lost. So it's not like he's undefeated. Like he's took losses, he's taken his wins. He's an all around great fighter, and they're both similar fighters too. They're just like literally as similar as you can get. I mean, Israel has a 1 inch reach. That's it. Striking is pretty equal. I mean, other than the accuracy goes to Pereira. Israel's been in wars, like with the Kevin Gastelum fight, which is interesting when he won the interim title. Kevin Gastelum was hitting him, and he was hurting Israel. I find it. Yeah, that was a few years ago, 4 years ago, but he hasn't really been hit like that in a long time. And if Alex lands, he's going to hit him very, very hard. What I'm really interested in seeing is what is his mindset this week, because yes, he's the champion, but he's not going into the champion. I mean, he's going against like he's already lost to twice, and if he's going to go out for blood, and he's in his head, that's going to hurt him. If he's not the poised, calm, cool, collected champion he's been, and he goes in there looking for his head, that can really hurt Israel. That can really help Alex Pereira in this fight because that left hook. I mean, there's a reason why they call him 10 hands of was it hands of steel? No,
Stone.
hands of stone. That's right. That's it. Hands of stone. I mean, you saw what he did to Strickland. I mean, that's that little left hook that he whipped around. And Sean Strickland is a dog. Don't get me wrong. He's a dog. He knocked him pretty clearly out. It's one of those things, man. Like it's an interesting fight. So much history. It just depends on who comes in. And don't forget, Alex has been training with Glover for quite a while now, almost a year, I think. I think they met. I think they fought the same card. What was Jiri versus Glover? No, Glover versus someone. Jan, was it Jan? I think it was
Um,
Jan. I think
I'm
they
not
fought
sure
this.
if they. I'm not sure if they did, but yeah.
They maybe did, but I know ever since then they've been training for a while together. Uh, at least 6 months. At least 6 months. I don't know exactly when, but I remember seeing Glover and Alex train like 8 months ago. So there's a lot of, and Glover's a great grappler, submission artist at 205. So what are
Yeah.
your thoughts on this fight?
No, yeah, I think he's been trading with Glover in Connecticut ever since he got into the UFC, since he
Oh,
signed
has
with the
it been that
UFC.
long?
Yeah, for like a
Okay.
year. And also Dominic Reyes has been training with them too in that camp as well. So
Oh,
he's
okay.
he's got, a lot. Those are two really big guys at 205. So he's been getting a lot of good looks from, big, strong guys that have fought for the belt and been former champions.
Yeah.
So good camp to be in. Man, my thoughts on this one is it's hard to bet against Israel Adesanya, man. I mean, I know they have history. I know Alex has beaten Israel twice and once by knockout. But man, Izzy 12-0 in the middleweight division, 12-1 altogether in the UFC, 5 title defenses. Man, this guy has run through the entire division and man, it's hard for me to say that he's not going to just do it again. I know
Uh,
this one's a little more personal, like you're saying, and maybe that comes into play where Israel goes in there and tries to really open up against him, but it's hard for me to just bet against Adesanya. I see Adesanya. being the more experienced fighter that he is, able to get the job done against Pereira. Yes, Pereira
Yeah.
has the knockout power, but I want to say that Izzy's going to get the decision here.
Okay. I mean, and I get that, like the poise from Israel, very like. But you even saw Alex when he knocked out Sean Strickland, he like even calmed everybody down to calm down. Like this isn't the end goal. So I think his mind is on that UFC gold. Like I think he's very committed to this, and that's something we have to really put into play against this. He's not fighting some other guy. Like Israel hasn't seen another guy like this over the past title reign. He has. I mean, Paul Costa maybe a little bit, but not really. I guess this is the first time he's stepping across. He's looking across the other side of the octagon. He's fighting someone very, very similar to him.
Similar build, yeah.
Very like similar everything. Everything down to they're both kickboxers. They're both kickboxers. They're both obviously in the same division. They both land and they land a lot. They both have really good striking. They both have really good kicks. You got to put that into play too. Mark Pereira has some nasty kicks. Same with Israel. Israel's technical. We saw Alex Pereira be very technical versus Sean Strickland, setting up that left hook. It's one of those fights that's so interesting because, like I said, I think it comes down to the mental game. And Israel can't even really get into his head because Alex doesn't even speak English.
Right.
He just sits there and doesn't even like know what's going on. I mean, obviously he knows a little bit what's going on. Don't get wrong. He feels energy and stuff like that. But he's just sitting there like he's got to be very confident. He's got to be
Yeah.
very confident. And he's got to be he's probably very cautious too, because he's like, all right, Israel might come in here and try to take my head off.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alex has rock solid mentality. The nothing's gonna
Yeah.
shake him. He's not this moment's not too big for him. He's fought in from
Yeah.
championships and glory kickboxing. He's ready for this moment. Yes, Israel's fought in big time in the UFC, many
Mm-hmm.
title fights, but I think Alex is definitely gonna be ready for this moment. And um of course he has a chance with that crazy power that he possesses. And let's just hope it's going to be a very exciting fight. It should deliver.
Yeah, I think either way it's going to deliver. I think either way, decision or knockout, the fight, unless there is an injury, which we'll pray the injury. But I mean, there's no way around it. This is going to be an all-out war, just like the Michael Chandler versus Dustin Poirier. This is going to be an all-out war, and it's going to be such a fun fight to watch. From the moment they even step on into the octagon, like just the walkouts. We know Israel's very, loves entertaining people with the walkouts. It's just one of those, and even completely fight week, we'll see Israel's energy and demeanor towards the fight because he's the headliner. A lot of cameras are gonna be him on all weekend. A lot's riding on this fight for him too. A lot of people are calling him boring fighters. You know, and he's been a boring fighter the past couple of fights.
Yeah.
This is the time where he's gotta kind of show up. He's gonna go against Alex Pereira, who is a striker, and they're gonna throw down. He's not gonna sit there. Alex is not gonna let him sit there and just play defense.
Right. Yeah. Let's
Alex,
hope.
you
Go
know,
ahead. Yeah.
no, yeah, he's not gonna sit there and let him defense. That's not gonna happen, and I don't think Israel wants to do it either because, like I said, he's already lost twice. He has something to prove. I know Israel's the champion, but Israel has something to prove in this fight. And he's already said F the belt. Like, I don't even care about the belt. He's already like, it's just personal. And we'll see how he takes it the whole week going into it because it's a long fight week, a lot of cameras, weight cut. He really can't get in the head of Alex Pereira, but I feel like Alex Pereira can get in the head of Israel. Israel had a video of him like dodging tennis balls as like a training thing.
Hmm.
And I saw a video of Alex Pereira mocking it, and it was hilarious. He was like sitting there, and the guy was just throwing tennis balls, and Alex was just sitting there, and he was like
Yeah.
mocking him. I think it's easy for Alex Pereira to get into Israel outside his head.
Right. 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 Yeah. I mean, I
So
guess
it's
he's already got his number. So
yeah.
when it comes to the kickboxing matches, yeah. Super
So
excited
shoot,
about
so
this.
let's switch this up. Let's do you go first and see what you think.
Oh yeah, man. Like I said, my prediction, I think Israel Adesanya, I think Izzy can dictate the fight with his speed, with his range, and the way he's been able to just for the most part control what happens inside the octagon. I know Alex is probably going to come to fight and he will be pressing forward, but Israel is very good with the counter strikes as well. So I think Izzy's going to end up eventually outstriking Alex, and I'm going to go with Israel by decision, unanimous. I
Okay.
think he's just
Okay.
faster.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm still gonna go with Israel, but I'm going with Israel with TKO.
Ooh,
TKO in the second or third, early late second or early third. Um, because the reason I say that is because he was tagging him up in kickboxing, and the gloves are like 10 ounces lighter. I
right.
mean, if not lighter, if even lighter than that. If he can find that same rhythm and connection that he did for that fight, I don't see Alex Pereira like surviving that flurry of punches. But in saying that, I want to say Alex Pereira. Like I do want to say like a left hook's going to come out of nowhere and knock Izzy out. I do want to say that. But like I say, it's hard to bet against Israel Adesanya. And am I doing the safe bet? Yes, I think I am. Uh, but I think there's a lot of proof for Izzy. I don't think we've seen Izzy in this type of fight before. I think he's going to go in there and really put on a performance. I think a career defining performance too.
Yeah, for sure. This is the type of opponent that Israel wants, and I think he's super excited for this matchup because I think a lot
Mm-hmm.
of fans are thinking that this is going to be the guy that finally can take it to Adesanya, that can finally beat him. So it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
and that's probably what Izzy wants. Izzy wants that challenge.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think we're definitely doing a safe bet, but I think it's the right. I think it's the right.
Right on.
Even the matchmakers have it pretty even. 170 to plus 145 per hour. It's a
Right,
pretty
yeah,
even fight.
very close. It's going to be a close fight. It's going to be a close fight. It's going to be an exciting fight for us fans. Well, that's our predictions then, man. You're taking Pereira, or I'm sorry, you're taking Adesanya, and so am I. In that awesome fight. So yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to say before we close this thing out? I mean,
I can't watch it. I can't wait to see
exact.
what happens. I mean, it's in New York. We love New York. We love New York. So big fight feels. Joe Rogan's gonna be there. I think I missed Joe Rogan the last review in Abu Dhabi. It just he's a big part of that broadcast crew,
He's
and he'll be
great.
back to this one. He's a great, and yeah, I'm super excited. I hope you guys can watch it and kind of experience it with us as we watch it. We might even be live. We don't know yet, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
we'll
we
give you
might.
our reactions to it and our initial thoughts. And super excited for the UFC 281 in Madison Square Garden. Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira for the UFC middleweight championship.
All right, man. Well, you heard it here, everybody. Big fight this Saturday, UFC 281 in Madison Square Garden. Those are our predictions. We will be watching and we might be going live as well. This video will be available on our YouTube channel, Primo's Productions OBX. Look out for it this week. It will be coming as well as other content. We just did an interview with another fighter that's going to be on there this week as well. So new stuff coming to the channel this week for you guys to check out. Thank you everybody for watching. We look forward to being in touch with you guys soon. So we appreciate everybody who's checking us out. Anthony Broth, thank you so much, bro, for doing this, and we will be talking soon with you.
Yep.
All right, brother. Thank you, man. We're signing out. Peace.